Welcome to Almadi, a brand new tile laying game from Funnyfox Games, where you will be building the new realm of Almadi to honour the intelligence and wisdom of the Sultan's wife. To start with, each player will pick one of the 5 starting tiles, each with a different colour. Depending on the player count, a number of landscape tiles of each type, mosaics, stalls and objective cards are put into play. In the advanced game, character cards are at this point given out, though for the basic game they're just returned to the box. Making sure each player has a player aid, the game is then ready to begin. Each turn consists of 3 actions by the active player. They choose a landscape tile and add it to their realm. They then perform any of the effects that they wish to that have been activated by that tile placement, and then they refill the central board. Depending on the row the landscape tile is taken from the market, is where it's placed into the player's realm. It can be placed anywhere in that row as long as it's adjacent, up, down, left, right, to at least one other landscape tile already in the realm. And all landscape tiles must be placed to the right of your starting tile. Around the edge of each tile there are either arrows or symbols, and depending on the placement, whenever an arrow is pointing towards one of those symbols, it can be activated on that turn. Activating the genie allows the player to move one of their realm's landscape tiles to anywhere else, no matter the row, but it still has to be adjacent to another tile, and that could trigger other abilities, such as triggering the mosaic tiles, which you simply take the top mosaic card from the deck. Triggering the stall icon allows you to take the top stall card, which gives you goods for at the end of the game. If you activate the moon, you're allowed to take an objective card. That, however, can be taken from either the middle of the table or belonging to another player, as long as they haven't yet scored it. Players can also activate rubies and simply take one from the general supply. And last but not least, they can activate jars. However, it's only at the end of the game that this matters for points. Once the player has performed any of the activated actions that they wish, well, they have to refill the central board just from the supply, and then play moves on to the next player. Throughout the game, players will take a total of 16 tiles, but these don't need to necessarily go into a 4x4 grid. Some rows can be longer than others. As soon as a player completes an objective card they currently own, they turn it face down. This means it can't be stolen and will score them points at the end of the game. There are a number of ways to score at the end of the game based on the 16 landscape tiles you've placed in your realm. Oases will score if they're in a group. On their own, they're worth no points at all. However, if there's a group of at least 2, they will score 3 points per oasis. And if you have the largest group, you'll get 6 bonus points. Caravans and goods kind of go together. The longer your caravans, the more transported goods you can score. Every palace adjacent to at least one oasis or market is worth a point, and every oasis and market adjacent to a palace are also worth a point. Every activated jar at the end of the game is worth 1 point. Mosaic cards allow the player to rescore a palace they've already scored. Completed objectives will score points at this stage. However, players should know that incomplete objectives that they've held on to will lose them that many points. In the basic game, rubies will score based on who has the most of them. Adding all of this together, whoever has the most points wins the game. There are character cards that you can shuffle in to play a slightly more advanced game, and these change how rubies score, as well as giving players powers during the game or during scoring. So, will you be the Sultan's best advisor? Is it going to be your greatest success? Well, that's how you play Almadi.